back to the Real Revenue Show, where we teach you real business concepts that'll help you build and scale any business model. We're your hosts. I'm Malcolm Bowser. This is Andre Trust back with you guys for another week of some great conversations and some great topics, some great business topics that'll help you in your journey as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. So, Dre, how was your week?
It was long, man. It was long. Well, let me stop. I always try to like. I say it's long, but it's long because like just things are happening.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time it'd be like a blur for me, honestly. Like, like I could barely probably remember what happened last week. I sent you guys a picture, in the group
Oh
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
That was
I'm getting
cold.
back on I'm getting back on my John Wick stuff.
That was cold.
That's a major thing for me going into the new year and stuff like that. So doing a lot of weapons training,
Hmm.
a lot of organization on that. So I spent a lot of last week really prepping myself for that mental state,
Hmm.
which is like I'm just trying to be more personable this year and like focus on personal goals
Got
and
you.
stuff like that. So last week was kind of a remnant of that. Uh, the restaurants coming along really well, made a lot of changes,
Okay. Oh,
right? So,
okay.
so we kind of mentioned before pivoting and things like that.
Right.
So had a bunch of structures in place that wasn't really working. So I'm like, okay, we have enough data. The data shows us that this isn't working.
Hmm.
So we pivoted away from some managers, you know, unfortunately had to go in a different direction.
Hmm.
Promoted some other individuals that are rock stars now and are fit the mold a lot more, have a lot more buy-in, and are doing the necessary things. So I'm excited, man. And if everything works out, we looking at summer of 2022. I might have location number two. I'm not.
Wow.
I'm just talking, son.
Wow.
I'm gonna see where that goes, but it looks a lot. Looks the outlook looks very very crazy.
So
What
let me
about you?
ask you,
How's it?
bro. So my week was it went by kind of fast as well. Like I said, like my son, he was feeling under the weather. He's just kind of getting back to himself. He wasn't himself because he wasn't tearing up my house, but now he's back.
Facts. He a terrorist again?
Yes, he's back to flipping things over with impunity. So I think he's feeling a lot better. So I'm happy about that. That was really stressful,
Hmm.
actually. But and in my business, I had to have a meeting with my team about, like you said, pivoting and changing some things up because I saw the first rush, the first draft of something that I really did not like,
Okay.
and I had to bring it to my team, to my concerns, and to why I think we should change some things, and they all on board. They fully on board now. Like they're really, I'm excited to show everybody what we have coming. So that's great, and just excited for just trying to finish out the year strong and bring in the new year even stronger.
You know what's dope is you mentioning that I work with a lot of people
Mhm.
and they're always afraid to tell their team that they don't like something.
Yeah.
Where it's like, nah, man, I don't like this. This needs to get redone. Like, I appreciate the effort. I'm not going to take away from the effort. That's not the goal here.
Right.
But it doesn't meet the intent. So that means we have to go back to the drawing board and things have to get adjusted.
That was, yeah, and I was
Yes.
nervous about that because I'm just like, I know how hard they worked,
Hmm.
and I know how hard we all work, rather, and it was just kind of like we just kind of have to start over. And me, the way I am, bro, I can't, like, when I first was like the first time I tried to write a book, I got like 40,000 words in, right?
Hmm.
Took a break from it because I wanted to get a new job, so I took a break from it. Then I came back like a month later to read it, hated everything, and I just scrapped the whole thing. Like I'm really just like, if I don't like it, I have to start over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just how I am. So like in this sense, we didn't have to start completely over, but it was damn near like scrap the whole thing. Like, all right, let's get back to it. So, but yo,
Damn.
as you were talking, right?
Hmm.
It lends perfectly into our discussion today, which is about time and our relationship to time with time, right? So you run
Hmm.
multiple businesses, and next year you said like your one of your goals is to explore many of your different interests, right? And
Yeah.
you still want to be like a great friend, a great son. You still want to be all these things. So Are you afraid that you won't have enough time?
To be completely honest, bro, no.
Okay.
Right? It's I hear that a lot where it's like, oh, I don't have enough time for X. I don't have enough time for, all the different things in my life. But the truth is a lot of people don't understand that time is on your side,
Mm,
right? It's a hard thing conceptually to understand because when you're in it, it doesn't feel like it. So this happened to me, I think about 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago.
hmm
I took a real step back and was like, okay, how do I look at time? Right? How do I view time? I used to view time as like a constraint, as like, okay, I have this window in which things can get done. And if I don't get things done and within that window, then I start to feel like I'm behind, or that like I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Like I'm behind, or that I'm struggling,
Got you.
which then kind of induces a little bit of anxiety and induces, a little bit of stress when you're trying to build out the business. But the issue is when you become proactive about your time, it flips. You actually start to realize how much time you have. It's almost infinite,
Mm,
right? So one of the things I actually mentioned to my buddy, because he came to me and he was like, Andre, like I'm running one business and I'm struggling. You're you're in like five and you're not struggling. Like other than productivity, why are you not struggling? And I told him, I'm like, hey, like, what's your bank account look like? And he was like, you know, what does money have to do with it? So I was like, all right, see, you're missing my point, right? I'm not talking about money, the bank account of money, right? I'm talking about your bank account of time.
right.
Right? A lot of people don't view their time as a currency, right? That's where the real winners come into play. It's like the fiat dollar money. So what, right? What is money at the end of the day,
Right.
other than the tool to get you time? Because everything is a constraint of what? Time.
Time. Right.
So if you want to learn something new, if you want to do more, if you want to take trips, if you, every one of those equations includes time in it. And a lot of people don't ever really pay attention to that. They just see time as a foregone conclusion, as a loss,
hmm
not understanding that you can also invest for time. So the way that I like to look at things, right, is I have I have this phrase that I'm trying to coin. It's called the bank account of time. So what I like to do is whenever I start with a new company or just a new entrepreneur, even employees, I do this with employees as well, right? That's another thing. Like if people want me to train their employees, I have no problem training their employees, things like that as well, to make them better employees.
Right.
Because a lot of the times, employees don't understand that they actually have a lot of leeway. They actually have a lot of control over the company. It's just that they're less aggressive,
Got
right?
you.
But the more aggressive individuals tend to win. Like when I was in the Marine Corps, I was super aggressive, so I got whatever I wanted.
hmm
Right? I would go to the boss and be like, "Hey, I understand that I'm underneath you, but these are my demands, and this is how I'm gonna get it done. I just need 3 weeks. Get out my way." And it's like, as a boss, what do you want, right? In your situation, Malk, if you have somebody working for you,
hmm
you want somebody that just sits there and takes orders, and it's like, "All right, well, you didn't tell me what to do, so I'm not gonna do anything."
No, hell
Or
no.
do you,
Yeah.
or do you want somebody that's like, Malk,
Proactive.
get
Yeah.
get
Like,
get out the way and let me go.
right.
It's
Right.
like whatever you need, right? So one of the things I like to do when I first start out is I have people write down their actual bank account and go throughout their budget,
hmm
right? Because a lot of people know that in depth, right? Like, okay, yeah, these are my bills. This is what I spend my money on. This is where I invest, stuff like that. Then I'll have individuals do the same thing, but on average, there's 24 hours in a day. On average, 30 days a month. Obviously, there's 28 days in some months and 31 in some. So let's say average of 30. That's 720 hours a month. It's like, how do you now let me see, go throughout your budget. Let me see how you spend your time. Like I want to see every bit of it, right? So the average person, if they're lucky, gets 8 hours of sleep. I know I get 8 hours of sleep. I don't play that shit at all. Like I'm in bed, cuddled up, ready for sleep at 10 every single night. Like that's not even I don't negotiate. I'm not going past 10 unless it's a weekend and we have something planned in advance.
Right. Right.
If not, like I'm in bed asleep 10 o'clock at the absolute latest, and then I wake up at 6 a.m. every day.
I envy that.
Like,
I envy
yeah, like I don't play around with that. That's
Yeah.
my non-negotiable. I'm getting 8 hours of sleep. So 8 hours of sleep, times 30 days is 240. Let me pull out my calculator. I don't want to.
that.
I don't want to do, a public math here.
Okay.
But 8 times 30, yeah, so 240 hours, right? So then that's 720 minus 240 hours. That's 480 hours left,
Okay.
right? So then the average person has like an hour morning routine. At least I have an hour morning routine where like I get up, I brush my teeth, take a shower, do all of those things. I get my cup of coffee and I kind of eat the same breakfast every day, which is 3 eggs and oatmeal every day. It's just I'm a person who lives deeply in routine,
That's
right?
first off. That is like I've read the importance of doing stuff like that, of like having set structured things, like so you don't have to think about breakfast every morning. Just have the same breakfast. But I'm
Yeah,
scared I'm gonna get tired of the food or something. You know what I mean?
man, it's the way that I have it set up is you start to understand how how much weight it takes off of your mind,
Mm.
right? That's where people mess up at is they make so many decisions. I've said this before and I'm gonna say it again. Our minds are not designed to make 30 million decisions. They're not, right? Everything that we do is a decision. Am I gonna pick my phone up or not? That's a
Mm.
decision. It seems very small and minute because it's like, all right, whatever. But you start making so many of those decisions that by the time you actually sit down to do real work, for some reason you're tired.
Right.
And you don't understand why you're tired. That's scientifically why, right? We're not designed to. So for me, my outfits get picked out the night before. My food never changes,
Hmm.
right? There's only two options, and I know in the night beforehand, right? But majority of the times, I'm going to have 3 eggs, oatmeal, and a cup of coffee, or like this. What I forgot. It's a special type of tea I drink. It's like real good. It's like a lemon tea, right? Those are the only options. Then my outfit is already picked out. My car is in the same position. And these seem like dramatics, but what I did was I built such a routine and such a habit that now my mind doesn't even think about it. It just happens. Right. So now I'm not making a conscious decision and wasting, let's say the average person gets, I don't actually know the number on this. There is a scientific number though, but I don't know the number. I'm just going to guess. Let's just say you get 1,000 decisions a day, which seems like a lot, but when you understand what a decision is considered, it's really not,
Right.
right? A decision of, okay, do I hit the snooze button or not? That's one decision. Do I actually get up now or not? That's another decision. What am I going to wear? But do I like this shirt or not? Like the 1,000 runs out real quick.
Right. That's true.
So,
Very, very good point.
so, so I take about an hour in the morning off my routine that's on autopilot. I don't even think. I try not to think during that time. I just let my mind relax. I let the day I let my body do what it's supposed to do, right? And you'll hear me once again, and I've said this a million times. Our unconscious brain is so powerful. Sometimes you just got to get out of its way.
Gotcha.
That's why there's times that you're driving and you don't even remember how you got home. It's like what? Like how am I already home? And it's like, yeah, because your unconscious mind
Right.
knows the route, it knows when to signal, it knows how to do all of it. It's very powerful. So sometimes I just get out of its way and allow my conscious mind to kind of just be like, this is kind of dope. We don't have to think, we don't have to do anything. It's everything is just kind of getting done. So I do about an hour a day in the morning. So that's seven, whatever times 30 days, that's another 30 hours. So minus 30 hours.
Hmm.
How long would you say the average person's commute is to work if they work from
An hour.
an hour to work or an hour back or
Both. Like I was.
oh, okay, so an hour total. So
Yeah.
let's subtract another total of 30, right?
And I'm in New York, so definitely an hour.
I got you.
Yeah.
So now we're at 420 hours left, and this is like beyond necessity. Like so, we have to sleep. We have to do our morning routine.
Right.
We have to go to and from work, right? So now there's 420 hours left, and now we got to start factoring. Okay, if you have a job, right,
Hmm.
and you're working 40 hours a week, then that's 160 hours a month.
Mm-hmm.
So minus 160, you have 260 hours left,
It's a lot of time.
right? And I just mentioned that a full-time job of 40 hours a week is 160 hours. So technically, in that time, let's say you decided to work again, you can do another full-time job and still have 100 hours left over, right? 100 divided by the 30 days is 3 hours, to come home, 3 hours and 33, whatever, to come home, shower, eat dinner, do all of those things and then go to sleep. Right. So you could work two full-time jobs. Not saying I'm a proponent. I'm never a proponent of trading time, trading time for money.
Right, right.
But that just goes to show you how much time we really have. The issue is when I do this, right? And I have people do this to the T, and I implore all of the individuals that are listening, watching this, really take time and actually audit your entire setup. Like, what do you do? Like, if you play video games, put how much. Like, don't lie to yourself. I'm not there. Nobody's around to. Just be real with yourself. How much time do you spend on everything that you do? I really want you to lump it in. Don't take any shortcuts. Don't be like, okay, well, that's Mando. It doesn't count. Like, no, because once you understand your bank account, now you get to be like, okay, well, I have 260 hours a month divided. So 260 divided by 30 days. That's an extra 8.6 hours a day. Right? Where it's like, okay, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's like it's a lot. Right? When you start to budget it down to the second and understand that time is on your side and that you can maximize it, right? So that's phase one, right? Understanding where all of your time is going, right? How do I spend my time? Who do I spend my time with, right? Do I spend, I've asked some people, how much time do you spend on Instagram per day or YouTube? They'll be like, oh, nothing crazy, like 20, 30 minutes. And then I was like, for 1 week, I'm begging you, please, just for me and for me trying to help you, track how much time you truly spend on Instagram. It was like 5 hours a day.
And people who have iPhones, the screen time tracker, that is a very humbling thing to see when you see how much time you really checking your phone, how many times you pick up your phone, how many hours you spend on social media, like specific apps on YouTube, is very humbling. One time like when I first started to put that on my phone and check the numbers, the worst it got one time was like 9 hours a day, and I was just like, a day, 9 hours on my phone is disgusting. And
it's like
it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Like, I was just like, yo, what am I doing? That's almost half the day. You know what I mean? That's a lot of the day on mindlessly scrolling. And now I think everybody collectively is starting to come to the realization now that social media is kind of trash now. Like, nothing is happening on social media at this point. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the times we pick up our phones out of habit, out of literally just like, I'm used to doing it. It's muscle memory at that point. So I would recommend everybody do that. Go check your screen time on your phone. And I think Instagram just rolled out a feature to where it tracks how much time you're on the app as well.
So I get backlash a lot. I don't like my phone, bro. I don't like being accessible all the time. I think it takes away from my creativity. I think it takes away from my ability to perform because, and Cal Newport mentioned that, we've mentioned this before, is like at one little ding, it takes like 15 minutes to recover from that.
Right.
So for me, I like to have my phone off because once you get your time back and you eliminate the phone, you start to realize how much, bro, there was a point, because I do this with my buddy Eric. So everything that I go through, because he's one of my best friends, he goes through it because you know how I am as a person. Anything that I do, everyone around me kind of has to do it in some way, shape, or form or fashion.
Right.
And the other day, we had like a full day, bro. Like, I mean, like one of the most like full days ever. We looked up, thought it was bedtime, and it was like 3 p.m. And he was like, oh, wow, like it's 3 p.m. We took like a 30-minute nap, got back in it, had another full day of activities, and it was only 9 o'clock when we were done.
Yo,
And I'm like,
when we went skiing, that was I remember when we took the break. What time? What time was the midday break?
the midday, it was like, I think we took it at like 1:15, like
I
around
was
1.
exhausted already. I was
It is like, it
so
is.
I was exhausted already. I was like, it's only 1 o'clock.
It's because like people will say, you have 24 hours in a day, but then don't use it correctly.
Mhm.
It's like, you know how I am. I'm up at 6. Like, not
Yeah.
like, like I'm rolling out of bed. Like, no, I'm up. Like the day needs to get started. I'm energized. I'm ready to really rock out on the day.
Right.
Right. So, but the dope part about it is once you get that time back and you realize that time is your ally, you start to really have some respect for it. You
Mm,
put a lot of respect on time.
mm.
That's why then I say no a lot. Like, just, hey, Andre, we need you to do X. Nah, I'm good. Like, hey, we want you to show and appear here. Nah, I'm okay.
Mhm.
Right. And it's because it's not like I'm trying to be a jerk, but people often forget, right? You're accumulating money to do what? Get your time back. So now that I've gotten my time back, why would I then want to exchange my time for something else that's worth less than what I deem my time to be?
Right.
It
Right.
just doesn't really correlate. So I don't care what the price is. If it's inconvenient to the time or my mental space or the health in that sense, I'm good. I just rather not. Hey guys, I understand that you guys want to go out. Awesome. I really appreciate you for the invite, but I'm staying inside tonight. And it just is what it is. But then there's another common myth that I hear a lot, right? It's like, hey Andre, we only get 24 hours in a day. I can only do but so much. It was like, you don't get 24 hours in a day. That's actually false. The base is 24 hours in a day, right?
Mm.
Because that's you. You get the amount of hours that you can purchase in a day, right? So if you have 1,000 employees and you've purchased 8 of their hours daily, that is 8,000 hours a day,
Right.
right?
Wow. Right. Okay.
There's 8,000 hours a day working on your behalf towards your
Mm.
goals, towards your missions, towards your organization.
Mm. That's like
So
wow.
I'm
I didn't think about that.
right. So I don't ever, that's why you don't see me. I'm not driving Lamborghinis and nice cars and X, Y, and Z, but I do have 70 employees,
Mm.
right? Because so a lot of my day is spent just thinking. Like if anybody came and hung out with me for the day, like a lot of people would ask me like, yo, what's your routine? And I can't really give them a routine. Like the morning and the night is set.
Mhm.
But in between the morning and the night, there is no real routine other than what I put on my calendar, but there's no routine. There's a lot of times, bro, I'll just go 2 weeks of just thinking. Just my whole day is just around thinking. And it's not a negative thing, right? Because how is money generated? Through labor.
Right.
People often misunderstand it. They'll be like, "Oh, Andre, like, you have tons of employees, X, Y, and Z." I'm like, how do you think I got the money to pay for these employees? The money had to be generated some way.
Mhm.
So the first thing I did was realize how important time was. So I made it a point to buy my time back. Right? It was like, okay, I'm losing 14 hours a day every day towards the mission. That's me working in the Marine Corps. And then that's me coming out of the Marine Corps and logging another. Remember what I told you? You could do two full-time jobs. I
Right.
was doing 2 full-time jobs for 5 straight years. Right? The amount of burnout, I can't even mention it how burnt out I was, but it was a part of the mission, right? I needed to
Right.
buy my time back. Once you get your time back, now it's put people in place so you don't lose the time again. Right? That's where people mess up at, is they don't put people in place to not lose the time. Because my goal is, how can we get better? How can we get advanced? How can we move forward if I don't have the time to do those things?
Mm.
Because everything
Makes
can
sense.
be learned. Everything can be learned, right? It's like anyone can learn Mandarin, anyone can learn coding, anyone can learn these things. The issue isn't skill level and intelligence, issue is time. I don't if you don't have any time to learn these things, how can you learn them? Right? But if you can only dedicate 10 minutes a day versus somebody who could dedicate 8. That's why I'm learning things so quickly. Like, how are you learning at such a high rate? It's I've bought my time back and complete. So if I want to learn Spanish, then I'm gonna dedicate 5 hours a day to learning Spanish.
Right, right.
Being in it. You know, it's crazy, bro. Another metaverse plug. I was in the metaverse, learning Spanish. I was like, I took a flight to Portugal, and like I was on the flight, and it's like the lady came up and it's like, "Hola," and I'm like, "Oh wow!" Like I'm really on a fake flight right now, but it felt real as hell. Then I was on a train. Then they were like, it was like a taxi cab. Then I went to like a hotel. I went to dinner.
Oh my
All of this
goodness.
stuff. But it's one of those things. Is it's really an essence of time,
Mm.
right? It's how much time can you get back. So that's my major thing, is I'm trying to get people to realize that it's step one is money has to be earned. Money can only be earned through labor, which is like the physical manifestation of time,
Right.
right? Because that's how you know time passes, is you're doing things that make you understand that you weren't at the same position you were before. Other than that, we wouldn't really know what time was, or
Right.
any of those things. So understanding that, buying your time back, and then putting things in place so that you never lose that task. Because when you do that audit, right, a lot of people start to realize inside of that audit is just a bunch of tedium, right? Like, I had a big debate with my boy Eric. We have fundamentally different views on certain things.
Okay.
So he's like, yo, bro, why don't you ever mow your lawn? Why do you always have somebody else do it? And I'm like, bro, like, it's $90 to have somebody mow the lawn. Why would I do that when I could get that 4 hours back that it takes, because the lawn is pretty big? It's going to take me 4 hours of manual, hard, directed labor to do that, or I can pay a guy $90. And for the first hour of that 4 that I get back, I focus on making that 90. So now it's like, okay, I never have to worry about pushing. I never have to worry about the exhaustion. I never have to worry about any of that. It's just $90. Okay, cool. Which one of my plays right now can make me 90? Okay, well, I know that there's an arbitrage in life, that Life Dow. That's one of my favorite ones. We play with that very heavily. There's an arbitrage in Life Dow. Okay, cool. It's at $40. Normally it's at 160. Okay, I'll buy 100 shares at 40. When it goes to $95 or whatever it is, I'll just pull chalks and I'll make $500, and that covers the next 2 months or 3 months or 4 or 5 months of not
Lawn.
having to do the
The
lawn,
lawn. That's
right?
yeah. I get it.
and,
Yeah.
it's little things, but my job is to anything anything that takes away from time and gives me some semblance of annoyance, I try to fix. I don't spend any right now. I'm in a phase in my life where I don't spend any money on anything traditionally fancy. Like, my car is nice, but it's not Beamer Benz Bentley nice, right? It's just like, okay, that's a nice car. Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
looks nice, right? My house is a nice house, right? It's not like, oh, this dude is in a mansion, but it's a nice house,
Right.
right? So these are the things that I focus on, and I focus on the little tiny things that, I hate to deep clean, the house, but I do love a clean house.
Right.
So I do have maintenance that I do, and then once a month I have a professional cleaning company come in and just deep clean the life out of the house. Like, I mean, like, they're in there all day long scrubbing every crevice of the house, and then my job is to just maintain it until they come back, right? And it's okay. Well, you have money. It's like, nah, it doesn't really take money. It's just that's what I prioritize, right? The average cleaner is going to come to your house and do it for $250, same price as Jordan's. That's not some miraculous number,
Right. Right.
right? It's just that people don't view their time as a currency, and that's where they mess up at. That's when it becomes like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just, oh, I need more money. I'm just gonna go give away more time. Versus like, okay, I need more money, but because I have systems in place, all I have to do is just think. Okay, what's the fastest way to more money or to being more organized? Do you know, bro, that there's companies? like right now, this is big business. So if anybody's listening and ever wants to decide to go this route, right? So in government contracting, and I mean like big money business.
Mhm.
In government contracts, you can get a government contract to just place people in the job and do arbitrage on it. So like
Mm.
I'll explain now. So the government might say, "Hey, we need a IT person to work 60 hours a week, and we're willing to pay $200 an hour,"
Damn.
which is like the average. Sometimes it's
Okay.
even like $250, $300 an hour.
Okay.
I can then turn around and be like, "Okay, bro, I appreciate you. I want that contract. Give me 1 month." I'll then go interview people and be like, "Yo, I need an IT person willing to work for $100 an hour." Then the government contracting company pays me $300 an hour. I then pay my IT dude $100 an hour, and everyone wins
Oh my goodness.
without ever having to interject any of my time, except on payroll.
Right.
Right. So this is I really want people to start thinking outside. But the thing is, you would never understand that if you don't have the time to dedicate 4 or 5 hours a day to just research.
Right. Mm.
Right. When I'm done with this today, right, I have another meeting with one of my managers. I'm gonna train her up on some leadership questions that she's had. When I'm done with this today, I'm gonna meet with her, and then I'm probably gonna spend 3 to 4 hours on just research, metaverse, crypto research on where do I think the world is going, where do I think see us falling behind on, where do I see us lacking, can I interject myself somewhere, is there somebody that I need to meet, is there somebody that I need to know, is it like what's going on,
Mm.
right? That's what I spend my time on aggressively, because everyone wins when somebody's able to think deeply,
Right.
right, and it's just able to bring more opportunities and bring more to the table, right? So it's and I know I was pretty long winded on that.
No,
I
no,
ain't
no,
even
no,
give you
no.
a chance to jump
I,
in.
I, I think it painted the picture
You
very
get me?
well.
So it's just it's tough because a lot of people don't view it that way. They
Got
just
you.
view immediately. I've asked so many people, and they're so quick to just give their time away. Time is so precious,
Mm.
right? I'd rather have, and I ask this question, and I ask this question a lot. Would you rather have $20,000 a month and 5 hours of free time, or 5K a month with the option to choose what you do with your time?
I think.
And it's like a no brainer for me and
Right.
you. It's like, okay, with the 5 grand, I'm able to do more.
Yeah.
I'll easily surpass the 20,000.
Yeah.
But a
That's.
lot of people can't. But a lot of people can't see past the 20,000.
Yeah.
It's like 20,000. But when are you ever going to be able to spend it? When are you ever going to be able to use it? When are you ever going to be able to even be in a predicament to even enjoy it?
Yeah. Like if you're making 20,000 a month and you hate when Monday comes around, like something's wrong. You know what I mean? Like if you
Because a lot
complain about how short the weekend went by, weekend comes by, like weekend goes by too fast, then something is fundamentally wrong.
because right now, right, I'm in a perpetual state of every day is the weekend.
I respect that.
And it's one of those things. I try to get people to understand that it doesn't take a lot of money to get to that point. I want to
Right.
make that very clear, right? It really just takes a change in your mindset and how you view things. Because I know people making, I have friends making $30,000 a month that are living paycheck to paycheck, hurting. And I'm like, yo, bro, like you're making $30,000 a month. Why don't you just, bro,
Yeah.
do,
Downsize.
do yeah, just do 2 years of extreme downsize.
Yeah.
You'll be live for $3,000 a month, save the other 27, or really like 20 after taxes, save the other 20 after taxes. That's 3 years. Bro, you'd be like half a M, and you'd be all right.
Yeah.
You'd be straight. Like you, and then now that way you're used to living off the three. Now that half a M is gonna carry you for 30 years until you figure out what you want to do, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, I don't want to live in scarcity. And I'm like, bro, you would actually be abundant in the resource that is real,
Right.
which is time.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to get everyone now. It's I haven't seen a lot of people understand that the real resource that we should be fighting over is time.
Mm.
The rich people get that, or the people at the top get that, right? It's like Jack Dorsey was the CEO of Twitter and Square, right?
Square. Yep.
People were like, yo, how is he running both companies? This dude must be a monster. Jack is not running anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jack isn't running anything. Jack is at the top, just like, okay, guys, he has the smartest people that work underneath him, and he
Hey,
just gets out of their way.
you know, I like what he does. His retreats, his like, where it's like you can't reach him through internet, phone. You can't reach him, and he just has his time away to think. And I'm just like, yo, I would love that. Like that sounds
And,
like a dream. Like I would just
and it's dope. And that can be achieved
right.
at 5K a month.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be, it's just a matter of priority. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not gonna be able to splurge out
Right.
and
Right.
do all the splurging things. But once you understand that time is the commodity, that is you splurging,
Right.
right? It's like having an excess of time. Like I had this was very humbling for me. Because I have one of my buddies, he's a oral surgeon in Atlanta. Dude kills it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yo, bro, like, I make money, you make money, but it's dope the way you make money. Like, imagine walking in the room and being like, yo, I'm an oral surgeon.
Right.
That's dope. I'm like, yo, that's dope how you make money. You get me? And he goes, yeah, bro, but like, I'm always working. And I was like, yeah, but you got a cool job, something. And he was like, I'll be honest, bro. Like, because we were at like an event together. It was like a weekend. We were at like a cabin event. That's how I actually met him at a cabin event. And he goes, bro, I would trade places in a heartbeat because while I'm scurrying right now to get back, I literally just heard you talking and you were getting ready to leave, but then you were having fun and you said, cool, I'm gonna just kick you here another 2 days. You didn't have to call anybody, you didn't have to tell anybody anything. You just said, hey, I'm going to kick it an extra 2 days. And matter of fact, I'm just gonna extend it. I'm gonna drive to go see my boy in the other port of North Carolina because I was in Charlotte. Went to Raleigh to go see my other boy, and then I spent like a week and a half with him, and then I flew back. And he was just like, "Yo, I would get anything to be able to do that. That's real." I was like, "Wow, everything is really perspective."
Right.
Right? I'm seeing the fact that he's doing very well for himself financially. I'm doing well financially, but his is kind of cool, in the terms of like what traditional people will consider cool and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And but all the time, his mind, he can't wait to get away from it. And he's super smart. He has 3 business ideas that as soon as he gets them up and running, the dude's gonna kill it. The absolute monster. I can't wait to support him and help him on that journey.
Gotcha.
But it was just a matter of like the perspectives were so different. Right. So now it's how do we get people to understand that the bigger picture here isn't the flash, it isn't the cars, it isn't the X. It's the ability to flex and be like, yo, while you have to work X, Y, and Z amount of time, I don't. I'm choosing to. And should I decide tomorrow that I want to stop, I can.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's tough to conceptually like. It's tough to take in. It's kind of like that the episode that we had where it was a tough pill to swallow that like you don't have a business if it doesn't make money without you.
Yo, I was just thinking, I was about to say that because I think this conversation is a culmination literally of every episode that we've done up to this point. Because the first episode was about productivity, and then we talked about speed. Everything kind of fits into where you have to be proactive in making your time work for you and figuring out where you can do less work and where you can think more and create more time for yourself to be more productive.
Exactly. Because people would
Genius.
rather
It was
make
all my
more.
idea.
People would rather make more and have less time
Mm-hmm.
than make less and have more time. I never
Right.
understood
Right.
that. Right. And our business model has always been I don't need to get rich, but I need to be rich in time.
Mm-hmm.
That matters to me a lot. So if I have to take 20% to make sure that I have 30 employees or 70 employees or whatever, I'm taking 20%. I don't need to have the whole thing.
There's a book for the people right now. You know, I always have a book for a topic, but it was a book by Ramit Sethi. It's called "I Will Teach You How to Be Rich." I will teach you to be
Yeah,
rich,
right.
and people think he's talking about like financially rich, but he's talking about how to systemize your life to where you're not struggling, but like you're comfortable and to live a rich life. And we always say like rich is subjective and a good
Mhm.
life and success is subjective and things like that. So when we talk about like you were saying, like I'm not trying to be rich per se, and you could be like that's the goal, but if it means I am comfortable, I am like, yeah, I'm not stressed out all the time, I'm not burning myself into the ground, running myself into the ground, then that's rich. You know what I'm saying? If
Because
I,
I had
yeah.
a convo about generational wealth,
Hmm.
right? Because oftentimes as performers, we get caught up with I gotta leave something behind.
Hmm.
I gotta take care of the next generation. I gotta do that. But what does that look like? Right? We hear the buzzwords all the time. I'm keen on asking questions. You will never just hear me accept something. Right? So it's like, okay, you've mentioned generational wealth. Okay, what are the parameters? Is it 200,000? Is it $1 million? Is it 500 million? So I'm here like burning myself out. This is a couple years in the making. I'm burning myself out because I'm like, yo, generational wealth is 200 million. I can't die without my family having 200 M's on the sheet. And I'm like, okay, though I still want those numbers. I'm not going to not get those numbers.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot less pressure on me when I actually defined what it was, right? A part of generational wealth is the passing down of time. That was my major. I started playing back. Okay, and I'll ask you this question. I haven't asked you this question before, so I'm gonna ask it to you now, right?
Okay.
If you could have gotten a head start, which I know your pops did give you a head start because he's dope, he's the OG. But if you could have had any head start that you wanted, how would what would that head start have been?
Ooh. So, as you said, my pops gave me a head start, but not in the business sense.
Mhm.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like we have learned together, but
Mhm.
that'd probably be the biggest thing. Like my idea of what business was, my idea of how money works,
Mhm.
my entire family, I felt like we've all dropped the ball on that. And my parents would tell you that. My parents are not bad with money either. I wouldn't say that, but their
Yeah.
understanding to how like your mentor is understanding to what money is and how it works compared to my parents and my entire family completely different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if I would have been young and when I was younger, if I'd have been raised with some of those ideals and principles, who knows? Like you know what I'm saying? Like I remember you were talking about like when you were talking about your mentor in high school,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
you had the foresight to know like this relationship right here is not just putting me through high school. Like I need to get to know this guy because that's going to help. And I say to you all the time, like I don't know if I would have had the wherewithal to kind of understand that. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
have friends who had the same sponsors who have no relationships with their sponsors
Yeah.
because they didn't think about like further down the line. They were only thinking about then and there, like I'm getting my high school tuition paid for. That's it.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things I would hope if I could go back and know what I know now, that would be the head start I would give myself.
So as I started to peel back the onion, right, I
Hmm.
was like, okay, what was the one head start that I would have really appreciated is 5 years unencumbered by work,
Okay.
right? I spent 5 years working 14 to 18 hours a day to the face, including weekends, nonstop. I had a break here and there, but it wasn't really a break. I was still working but I was working and doing other things, right?
Right.
So then how does that look? I'm like, okay, well, if I want 5 years, if I want to give, let's say I have two kids, right? And I want to give them each 5 years unencumbered. Well, that starts with no debt for college,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if they want to go to, I'm not particularly, and this is another convo we can have. I'm not too particularly keen on college or school just in general,
Right.
because I believe, you know, a lot of people, have degrees, but they're not educated. Like, I know some people without a high school diploma that are run laps around master degrees,
Right. For sure.
like just run laps. Like they're really educated in that sense. They just don't have degrees and things like that, right? As a person with a degree, uh, we'll do an episode on that. Like, is school worth it and stuff like that? And if you could go for free, I think you should go for free, right?
Right. Right.
So I want to build in some way for my kids to go to go for free. So, okay, what is the average college tuition of like a really dope killer school? If they can get some tuition in X, Y, and Z, maybe 100 or 150,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's two kids, that's 300,000.
Mm-hmm.
So now they get out of college, no college debt. Okay, so that's one. That's where people really die at, is college debt.
Yep.
So then, credit score, people really fuck up because their credit scores are bad. So I want them to have an 800 credit score by the time they're ready for life. I want them to, what else messes people up? Credit utilization. So they need to have at least a minimum $100,000 credit limit,
Mhm.
right? So then, what else is, maybe they need, in order to operate unencumbered for 5 years, they need, let's say $3,000 a month for like mortgage slash like a rent and like some utilities. 3,000 times 12 is 36,000, times 5 is what? Times 5. That's 180,000. So we're talking about, to make sure generational wealth is in place, like true generational wealth. I also need to be able to give them my mind.
Right.
So I write notes. That's why I talked to you about the Trello, right?
Mhm.
If I was to pass away right now, they can log into my Trello and it'll have my brain. That's my second brain. I mention that all the time, right? It has my thoughts. It has like my infographics. It has like thoughts that I have on there.
Right.
So now my kids understand how I think about money. They need to be in a predicament where they themselves feel confident. I need to allow them to view the world in a unencumbered way. Like they don't view it as like, like I don't believe in authority. Right? I just don't believe in authority. Like it just doesn't, I don't believe in rules. I don't believe in any of those things. Right? So that's what allows me to maneuver, because if somebody tells me no, I'm going to find a way to get a yes. Or you told me I couldn't do that. Okay. So I need to be able to convey all of these things, plus be able to pass down some money. All of it can be done for less than $1 million, 800 credit scored, because I have an 800 credit score. So I'm just going to make them authorized users, get them credit cards ASAP, get the time. These are all things that can be learned. Yeah. They'll have the knowledge of it. And by the time that they're stepping out of college, and maybe their first vehicle paid off in full, like just like a compact basic vehicle to get them from point A to point B, so that they have 5 years of like, yo, what do I really want to do?
To explore, right? Facts, yeah.
Just explore and just be creative and be on it, because where do good ideas come from? Creativity.
And
right?
Space to think.
So, like what I like to do is I like to look at a lot of people's origin stories. Like I'll look at like Airbnb. Like they got that because they were like they were like cereal salesmen. Mm-hmm. Something crazy, like just cereal salesmen. They just needed a place to stay and hit somebody on Craigslist like, yo, can I sleep on your couch? And it was like, I wonder if we can create a unit of just couch sleepers. Mm-hmm. And now those dudes are some of the richest dudes on the face of the planet. Right? But where does that come from? Is the creativity and having opportunities to be in it and do those things.
Right.
So, to segue from time into, generational wealth, it's just really time. It's just the passing of the ability to control your time. It's not really the money. So I went from 200 million. That needs to be the goal. I can achieve everything that I want for my family for $1 million.
That's actually
And probably even less. That's me going
yeah.
above and beyond for $1 million. And I say that because I'm a true believer that if you don't know the game, then you can never win it. So there has to be parameters, right?
Yeah.
So I and passing down rules with the law and stuff like that. Like I believe everybody, and it's not to get political. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I believe everybody should have a gun. Why not?
Right.
It's just like why not? Why if somebody runs in your house? Why not? So there's certain things, and if anybody feels some type of way, I'm sorry, guys. How the comments be hot.
Yeah.
They'll flip that and say I said something else.
Nah. I feel you.
But
I'm on your time, man.
that's what I'm saying, bro. It's like, in really learning the law and doing all this, bro. The one thing I learned, I'm just giving away free gems at this point, right? Is I have a lot of buddies that are lawyers. I pay a lot of lawyers. And the reason is because they have such a deep understanding of the law. And it's like the game is laid out in front of you. You just got to really learn the game.
Right.
Right. Like I remember we were hunting one of my buddies, and I wasn't doing a good job at it. When I say hunting, I really was standing behind him. But, and we came off the premises, and he had like a long gun on him. So the cops pull us over and stuff like that. So he's like, don't worry about this, Andre, I got it. Guy said, yo, I see the gun. Hey, get X, Y, and Z. So we're not worried because once again, like everything is legit. So the dude goes, hey man, I think you know my name, man. Guy's like, oh, is that, I won't say his name or whatever. He's like, oh, is that, oh, hey, what's going on, man? He was like, first of all, come over here. And now he's calling the guy, he's calling the cop over, like, yo, come over here. Right? First of all, I need you to learn X, Y, and Z. This is not a long gun. It looks like a long gun, but it's a pistol. Plastified under section code X, Y, and Z. It has a short stock meant to be shot by one hand. I was like, and then the cop was like, yeah, my bad, man. I'm really sorry about that. It is a pistol. And he's like schooling him up. And it's because the dude knows the law. And then he's like, all right, cool. Have a good day. And make sure, that we get an apology from the office. And they issued him a formal apology.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what is, but it's dope because that's a dude who bought his time very early.
Right.
And with his time spent it learning the law, and just like, it's just the extreme gray area dude.
Yeah.
I love it. He's just like, well, I can based on X, Y, and Z. Right? So that's my major thing I'm trying to get across, man, is that time allows you to do so much. You could turn into Superman once you get your time back and you start understanding these things and learning them.
That was a great message. Great conversation, especially again going into the new year, and a lot of people have these goals and aspirations and New Year's resolutions and things like that. But if you don't have the actual time to do it, because that's where everybody really gets tripped up at anyway. They have all these goals. I want to work out. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I only have time to really do one. And we have, there's a lot of famous books out, like the One Thing, where it tells you to kind of just zero in on, just focus on one thing, because that's where all your time, if you don't have time to really focus in on everything else. But I thought this was a very poignant message, a very great conversation to have, and a great concept, because once people get to start to reclaim their time, they will see all the things like that you can do. And like as you say, you can become Superman, Superwoman, whoever you want to be, when you have the time to do so.
Real quick, like 90 days quick. You could change anything in your environment, and I'm big on that. Changing your environment. I just had a mentee come in earlier. She was just like, hey, I don't have any mentors. I don't have I don't have anybody, but you've been phenomenal to me. You've been coaching me. Can I just come be around? I don't care what that looks like. I don't care what it is. If I got to deliver coffee, if I got to do X, I just need to be around. And I was just like, oh, wow. All right, cool. Like, I was going to allow you to be around just cause. like your energy is good and you want to learn. That's all that really matters. But once again, she has a bit of time and she's
Right.
utilizing that time to learn more, strategize more, and gain more out of it, in her favor. So I'll leave everybody with this, right? Is you need to figure out what matters to you, right? That once you figure out what matters to you, that will motivate you to go get your time back immediately, right? Because I'm not one of those guys online that's going to be like, quit your 9 to 5. I've said this a million times. I'm actually very against that. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. In fact, I think 99% of people shouldn't quit their job and
Bro.
they shouldn't become entrepreneurs. This is a very difficult game to play in. And if you have a good situation, it's very stressful. It's very dark. And if you have a good situation, I think you should stay in that, right? But now this is for the 1% that really hates what they're doing and they're spending all of their time in hatred and pure bitterness. You need to find a way to get your time back, man, because unless you do that, then things are never going to shake out for you. They're never going to get better. And whether that might be switching to a job that you do like, right? Because my last role in the Marine Corps, I really enjoyed.
Mhm.
Right? Major Hurley, shouts out to Major Hurley. He was one of the best bosses I've ever had in my entire life. I've learned so much under that guy, right? But it's like I just couldn't do that forever, for me personally. But I loved him to death. He was awesome. I mean, I've never worked so hard for another person a day in my life. He just inspired me so much. He was just very sharp. He was on it. They called him the mayor
Mm.
because of his ability to just like, yo, come here, let me talk to you, man. He
Mhm.
just talk you into anything.
Mm.
Right. And it's like, and I mentioned this on the last show, is like, if you want to get me to do anything, criticize my intelligence.
Guy.
And he knew that about me.
Yeah.
He'd be like, Andre, there's about to be 180 generals and admirals for this event. I wonder who's gonna set it up. And I'm like, me, I'll set I'll set it up. Like, because it's a challenge for me. I live my life based on challenges. Right. So that I figured out who I am as a person. I love to be challenged. I want to be in the arena with the number one guy. And even if I'm not good, Malcolm attested to this, and he mentioned it in the book. I never played football a day in my life, but I was so like competitive that when Malcolm said like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to hit," I was like, "I'm hitting too." I've never hit anyone. I've never put on pads ever, and Malcolm lit me all the way up. Like lit me all the way up. But it's just my competitive nature will not allow me to ever back down. I want to go against the best. And at that time, I viewed Malcolm as the best. So therefore, I'm gonna be in the best vicinity. Because guess who taught me how to hit? Malcolm.
Yeah, you got me back. You got me back. I remember that.
Like he taught me how to hit. I'm like, okay, this how he did it. This how he did X. Okay, he lowered his shoulders, drove through, followed through. I was like, okay, I see him, right? But going throughout life, I realized that's who I was as a person, and I needed time in order to go experience the challenges, right? Whether that's jujitsu, whether that's fighting, whether that's shooting, trying to become John Wick. In 2022, bro, I'm becoming John Wick, bro. Right? That's my goal. You need time to be able to do that. So I'll leave on that end.
Yep.
Figure out who you want to be, what motivates you and what triggers you. If you hate your job, man, you need to figure out an exit plan. And if you love your job, then I think you need to figure out ways to get better at it. Right. And then, we can help out with all of those things.
All right. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I definitely did. I got a lot out of it. Like, share, and subscribe. Our information is in the description below. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, don't forget to leave us a comment and a rating. We really appreciate it. This is the Real Revenue Show. I'm Malcolm. This is Andre. Peace.